Currently, the concept of audiovisual art is framed by the dominant role film and television play in our society, founded on technology of sound and image reproduction invented in the second half of the 19th century. Cinematography as an audiovisual art that emerged from the movement of technical images elevated film to the most popular artistic form in human history. With the supremacy of the moving image, especially during the silent film era, it was possible to cross borders and establish patterns of transnational communication. As the sound film quickly prevailed as a product of mass communication, cinema and later television shaped the perception of sound and image until the end of the 1980s, when digital technology set the stage for radical transformation. The popularization of personal computers, mobile devices, and networks of information and communication began to reframe the creativity of audiovisual art. Technology propelled convergences of sound, image, space, and performance to create new architectures of collaboration, giving rise to new kinds of transnational dialogues. As the traditional structures of creation and production of audiovisual art underwent this enormous change, new artistic forms of audiovisual composition began to emerge. In the universe of electronic music, there has been a growing interest in audiovisual composition, with more electroacoustic works being coupled with video and mixed works combining electroacoustic sounds, live performance, and visual projection. Audiovisual composition has the potential to bring electroacoustic music to the broader audience, as it addresses a multimodal perception and sensibility. It reveals two important components. One, the convergence of fields and perceptions, and two, the diversity and differentiation of forms. Composers of audiovisual works face the following question: what is important, the music, the visuals, or the combinations of the two? They must consider how sound and image relate to each other as they attempt to intensify the immersive sensorial experience and try to raise the consciousness of the interconnection between hearing and listening as mode of being in the world. As a society inhabited with myriad of trivial objects and gadgets of audiovisual technology taking a hold on our existence, we have become saturated by the torrent of audiovisual impressions. Faced with the flood of information that can lead to a state of entropy, it's important to develop a critical reflection on audiovisual communication. We need a comprehensive account of the relation between sound and image beyond the conventional form of cinema in order to understand its full creative potential. It's necessary to deconstruct the hegemonic discourses and point out the broad spectrum of possibilities and diversity of forms of audiovisual music. Music is language because it speaks. It activates a movement from the immanent to the manifest, through which meaning emerges. And we can say music speaks an audiovisual language. In the following, I will introduce my first audiovisual composition, The Journey, a collaboration with the German visual artist Inge Kamps. I composed the electronic music in 1993. Inge Kemps created a new videography in 1995 on the base of my electronic music. The visual composition develops a particular synchronism between sound and image on the base of 4 visual motifs: water, earth, oscillograph, and mind-machine. They appear as abstract textures and patterns in synchrony with the music. The aesthetics of the journey emphasize the correlation of auditory and visual perception. The 2 layers of experience are meant to stay over against each other as equal and at the same time to create a close structural connection that creates an intermediate unity. From my point of view, the journey is a successful exploration of synesthetic perception in audiovisual music composition. The work was awarded at the Internationale Videokunstpreis SWF ZKM in 1997. Mojave is an audiovisual music work for flute, electronics, and 3D video that unfolds an aesthetics of audiovisual immersion with telematic performance. The work was developed on the basis of 3D video and ambisonics audio recording of the Mojave Desert, California, in January 2019. Cássia Carrascosa created a performance for this specific site, physically interacting with the landscape and improvising with sounds, exploring extended techniques for flute and bass flute. I composed a score for flute and live electronics, exploring algorithms of delay and feedback, which create a pulsing universe oscillating between latency and synchrony. Mojave is a multi-layered audiovisual composition that reflects on the presence and absence of vectorial forces of creativity. Different versions of the piece were created for audiovisual music and live telematic performance. The contrast between the vast desert landscape and the confined telematic environment evokes the existential feelings of eternal and transitory, and the duality of finite and the infinite. Conceptually, Mojave is part of the large-scale research project Sound Imaginations, which aims to investigate listening cultures and different categories of listening. Sound Imaginations is designed as a project combining scholarship on sound studies and artistic research on immersive sound and visual composition. In March 2020, shortly before the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic, I presented in Riverside, California, the immersive audiovisual installation Sound Imaginations with 3D videos and ambisonic sounds I captured in São Paulo, Brazil, Riverside, California, Moscow, Russia, Mannheim, Germany, and Pune, India. Focus on the idea of listening cultures. The audiovisual installations reflect on listening habits and techniques, and cultural and historical aspects that are related to them. The audience experiences the diversity of listening cultures from these different geographic and cultural areas while immersed in a multimedia environment with multi-projection of 3D videos and multi-channel sound projector of ambisonic sounds. The emblematic notion of soundscape proposed by the Canadian composer and scholar Murray Schafer in the 1970s is a key concept for observing our sonic environment and the transformation of soundscapes in the industrial and digital societies. Soundscapes are not just physical exteriors, but are perceived and interpreted by human actors and are invested with significance. The soundscape of the present is a resonant space with dilatation and reverberation. The listening subject is the place of resonance, tension, and its consequences. Listening is entering this resonant spatiality, by which, at the same time, I am penetrated and project myself towards the other. Listening is resounding. On the site of the desert of Mojave, Cássia Carrascosa developed a performance with flute and bass flute that articulates our dialectics of presence and absence emerging from the auditory and visual perception of the soundscape and the landscape. The 3D images move around Cássia as focal point, a central figure that captures the human presence in the emptiness of the desert landscape, which symbolizes void and absence. Starting from this focal point, the movements unfold edges, diagonals, curves, rotations, and circular movements that opens up a constant play of spiral shapes, a vortex of 3D images that pushes things beyond the center, creating a pattern of presence that emanates from the body and projects itself on the planetary level. Mojave is a collaborative work. It associates a composer, myself, and a performer, Cássia Carrascosa, in our architecture of collaboration charged with affect. As mentioned before, different versions of the piece were created, including a telematic live performance that explores the new possibilities of audiovisual art and creativity through telematic communication. The telematic paradigm involves not only the technology of interaction among human beings, but between the human mind and artificial systems of intelligence and perception. It transcends the body, amplifies the mind into unpredictable configurations of thought and creativity, and can contribute to the emergence of a global consciousness. I will conclude this presentation with an excerpt of the telematic performance of Mojave on March 10, 2020. Cássia played flute in São Paulo and I processed her sound in Riverside, California. We use the software Jacktrip for audio communication through network and the software Max for electronic music processing. Thank you very much for your attention.